Really, I just want my Nasus to level so I feel vindicated here. I've been procrastinating getting to Masters basically all season long, and since I have decided it's time for me to start climbing a little bit more seriously, I thought I would share one of my climbing lists. Today's video is Nasus and Thresh. As always, deck deep dive will be at the end of the video. I use time tags, so if you want to go check that out where I talk about the full list, you can jump straight there. You can also just jump to the games if you don't want to hear the rest of these reminders. Please consider subscribing. That's another reminder as well. Deck code will be in the video description. Link to Mobalytics will be in the video description. And with all of those reminders out of the way, let's jump into some games. Well. The mirror. Guess this is just what we're doing here. I think you go back, but I like the rest. Or the mirror, and I like that even better for our opener.
See what we see.
Was not expecting the mirror because I haven't been running into much Nasus Thresh. But I think I'm okay with this. And we might take two, but I still expect them to play something. And so that's why I was kind of okay with letting that go. Oh. All right. So we want this to block here, but I think there's an argument to be made about saving this for a later round, whether it's for Spirit Leech or for Caretaker. Caretaker next round wouldn't be terrible, but I'd really like to get this Bark Beast and Dune Keeper down. So I think we're going to let the rest through. And I do think we're going to go this route. And then maybe just save this for the Spirit Leech play. So these are going to trade, but at least the Bark Beast is going to activate, giving us the opportunity for some value trades. Oh, it must be nice. It must be nice to have card draw.
Azir's command. Always forward. Keep your distance.
And so we take our value trade. And I think we still take the card draw, mostly because the rest of our hand is not great and we haven't really generated a ton of damage. We could have played Reaper and then went into Caretaker this next round, but I'm not as big of a fan of that play at the moment. Oh, very nice for them. They seem to be running that Rite of Calling. It's usually a one of. I have currently cut it. All right, we're gonna go ahead with another Bark Beast, a Reaper, and then we actually might eat this Bark Beast in favor of a Caretaker. I don't like this. I don't know what this is, but I don't like it. I can tell you that much. At 7 mana, I guess it could be a Vengeance. This could be Withering Wail. Which kills one unit technically 2, but we would just glimpse the 1, so we would still draw some cards, but it does take us off of the caretaker play. Okay, so Thresh is legitimately problematic for us, because all the things that we want to do to start being aggressive, unfortunately, means that we are just running right into Thresh. There's no real way to stop it, unfortunately. And so I think what we want is to do something like this, and then because of ordering, regardless of where this goes, unless it's here, it trades. But this does result in a leveled up Thresh, so we have to keep that in mind. We have to keep that in mind. We just have to hope that we can survive one round of attacks and then maybe top deck our own Nasus. We have the atrocity. So we just have to find our own Nasus to get him going. So that's a big Nasus. We have to block it. And there is our own Nasus. Unfortunately, not quite the mana that we would like. But even just getting him down gives us some opportunities here. Well, that's really unfortunate now, isn't it? I think we have to allow it. It levels Nasus, but we're not, I don't think we're as concerned about that. Again, right now our game plan is to just play our own Nasus, make sure that we've got enough mana to always have Right of Negation back, and then try to Atrocity with Right as backup. I mean, that's basically our game plan. So we play our own Nasus, who is still technically big enough. We have our 4 mana left over. So we do this, we pass. We go into the next round and we try. We try to Atrocity. We just hope that they don't have the same hand. They don't have enough for a double Atrocity, so it's gonna have to specifically on their end be.
What do you sense? I smell
And this actually should be fine then. We should have game, because it was 6 now. We can try to Atrocity, and then if they try to Right, we have a Right, and if they try to Atrocity in response to ours, then we still have it, right? So we get burned by life gain, I guess, potentially. But again, we would have a Right for that. Passage unearned is not stopping anything, so that's gonna be fine. Okay, there's a mirror down. Couple of interesting choices they had in their version, but let's play another game with our version. Gonna be up against discard aggro this time around. That first game I was a bit foggy. Wasn't necessarily present mentally, if you will, so we're gonna try to bring the enthusiasm this time around. Got up, shook things out. This is a great opener for us, actually. You get the one drop. It's kind of a shame we're not swinging on evens just because the ability to obviously, you know, Cursed Keeper into the Butcher, all that jazz is nice, but interesting. We're gonna take some damage, but I still think that Keeper is correct here. This is also very telling. This tells me that they do not currently have a vision in hand, or else they would have shipped these. They're also potentially sitting on at least one crowd favorite, but that's more the reason why I wanted to go with this play, because being able to caretaker in and try to nuke a number of these, I think, is very important to get things under control here. And then in future rounds, we might save this as an activator to set up Black Spear for something like a Jinx, like a Draven. Speaking of, there's the Draven. All right, so in this instance, we want these two pulling up front because we want our Reaper to grow. Then we want this. I think you still ship that, and then this at the end. Expected this as a trade, but that just helps out the Reaper. And so now, if they don't want to lose their Draven, they're still going to take a good chunk of damage because of the 4 and the 5. They do opt to lose their Draven. So we push 4 damage, but we clean up their board, which, again, if they were trying to set up crowd favorite, ends up being not good for us. We have a pair of axes and 4 cards, about to be 5 after the draw, though. Another Draven is a bit nightmarish. Let's go with a Reaper. I think we go with a Reaper and a Bark Beast, but not the Dune Keeper till next round. I'd like to Dune Keeper and then potentially eat the Soldier to set up a Black Spear on this. It would be kind of nice if we could find some help. Interesting. I think you just let it through. We could block there, but theoretically, just with the axes alone, there's the opportunity for them to trade up into our 4-3. And if they want to do that on defense, I think that's fine, but I don't want to give them the free opportunity here. Another Butcher, kind of not what we were hoping to find. So they have plenty of cards for discard aggro, along with a number of axes here.
Time for the money makers.
So the axes are coming down. so that they can make these trades. And so I think here we just kind of get rid of the Draven as well. I mean, we made a music get excited as removal basically, so I guess that's maybe good for us, but we're running out of cards, they're running out of cards, but their deck wants to run out of cards. I mean, our deck does not. So right now we are pretty desperately, that's great for them. Not so much for us, but great for them. We're pretty desperately hoping to find something along the lines of a Thresh, a Nasus, or a Leech. All right, now we're going to do this before I play the Nasus because I kind of wanted to slow play it. The reason we didn't make that last turn is if we had drawn another thing that requires you to slay first, right? If we draw another Black Spear, for example. That becomes a bit of an issue. So even though this is not going to die, you still take this attack because we want to level our Nasus. And then it also means that this can't block Nasus in the future because once he's leveled, so he definitely struck. Like, I know this can't drop below health, but he definitely struck for 10. The entire point of that play was so that he would level and give everything -1, -0, and then this wouldn't even be that bad. But for some reason, that negates everything we were trying to do there. Now, the good news is we top decked Atrocity, so we should still win this handily. But I'm very surprised by that interaction. Like, I get that it doesn't die, but the damage should have still been assigned accordingly. So if we do this, we're staring at, you know, being at 4. Our Nasus does actually level. Just kind of wait and want to see what's going on here. If they played like a vision or something, blah, blah, blah. Really, I just want my Nasus to level so I feel vindicated here. And then we'll throw the Atrocity. I don't know if that's a... I don't know if that's a bug or not. Legitimately, I don't know if that's a bug or not. So with 2 cards here, even if it's Get Excited plus a card, we should be fine. But this cleans it up. That's 2 rounds. Let's go take a look at the list. I'm baffled by that interaction, but that's a win. You know, I'm still thinking about the end of that second game, and at first I thought perhaps it was a bug. I was expecting Nasus to still deal 10 damage to that unit and level up, even though I knew that the unit couldn't drop below 1. But I'm wondering, now that I'm reflecting on it, if it's coded in such a way that once it hits 1 health, it kind of gains a permanent barrier style effect. And if that's the case, barrier will prevent Nasus from leveling, and that would explain that interaction. So I don't know if that's intended or not. I might reach out to somebody at Riot, see if I can get some clarifications. If I do that, I will probably put something in the comments below, a little bit of an update, but it was just not what I was expecting. It doesn't feel like it doesn't seem like it's an intuitive answer, because it's not saying I you know, one, don't take damage after I'm at 1 health, but also in that instance, when you're above 1 health, I would still expect it to be assigned the full damage, but the health stays at 1. I don't know. It didn't feel very intuitive to me, but it's possible. The more I think about it, it's possible that actually is an intended, it's possible that's an intended result. I don't know, but this is going to be a deep dive into the deck list. So I'm going to share my version. I like the ladder with this. There's a couple of decks that are kind of my comfort decks when I do want to play seriously and ladder. I like proactive decks, not necessarily always aggro. I do like aggro decks, but I like proactive decks because I like feeling in control of my own destiny. And I also, if I'm being entirely honest, when I'm trying to ladder seriously, I just prefer shorter games. I think decks like Lissandra and Trundle are certainly powerful and they can be great in tournament lineups, but when I want to ladder, like I don't want to spend 20 minutes to get a win. I'd rather, you know, play 2 or 3 games in that time, and if I go 2-1, so be it. I just like volume when I'm trying to ladder, and this is a list that will help with that. It's certainly proactive. You are capable of some very explosive starts because of the Shadow Isles package with things like Butcher, with things like Cursed Keeper, means that it's not uncommon for you to be swinging for, you know, 10 damage on like turn 2, for example. So we run 3 copies of Butcher, 3 copies of Bakai Reaper, 3 copies of Dune Keeper, because it's one of the best 1-drops in the game. But mine is a little bit different from other lists I run into. When I run into the mirror on the ladder, it's pretty uncommon. I see other people still playing Bark Beast, but I like it because, again, I like having these explosive starts. And even more so, Bark Beast is ideal for when you're attacking on evens. So when you're attacking on odds, starting with something like Dune Keeper to push the 4 into Cursed Keeper into a Caretaker can be really good, for example. But when you're attacking on evens, if you open with like Bark Beast into Keeper into Butcher, well, then you're threatening 10 damage that way as well. And I really feel like it's imperative to have an explosive start. The lower you can get your opponent before Nasus comes down, the better off you'll be, because then it makes Nasus a required block every round, so you can kind of chew up their board. And then the obvious play is the Nasus Atrocity combo, right? But I think it's important to force Nasus to be blockable as well, because a lot of times you don't want to throw the Atrocity until he's leveled so that he has that spell shield, and you level him by making sure he hits something, and you just want to make sure that you are progressing that. So we've got again, Butcher, Reaper, Bark Beast, Dune Keeper. At 2, we have Cursed Keeper and Fading Icon. These are both meant to be feeders. Obviously, Cursed Keeper is the a bit more aggressive one, but Fading Icon still gives you something that swings for 3, and then the 0-1 body can still be eaten again by something like a Butcher to set up those explosive starts. We also run 3 copies of Glimpse because we want to refill our hand. It is very possible for you to empty your hand quickly with a deck like this, and Glimpse is imperative at helping to refill your hand, but Glimpse is also another source of slay. I'm currently on 2 copies of Black Spear. It's very common for me to go up and down between 2 and 3, kind of depending on what I'm seeing on the ladder, but this card is amazing in this list. The only reason that I'm currently on a 2 of here at the moment is because I was running 1 copy of the Undying. So if I'm not running Undying, this is usually a 3rd Black Spear, or if I really feel like I don't want to run Undying, but I want something that's not a 3rd Black Spear, Rite of Calling is the other one that I will traditionally run, just as a nice cheap slay activator that tutors for one of your champions, because making sure that you get them is also pretty imperative. Now, right now, I like running still a 1 of the Undying. I don't ever really want to end up with multiples. In the past, I would actually even run 2 of these, but I like running this as a 1 of right now because it can be a nice continuous battery for you for generating your slay effects, and it can be a secondary win con. So if you get somebody low enough with an explosive start and you get the Undying rolling, you might not need to throw Nasus with your Atrocity. It's possible that this can get the job done, but again, this is entirely a preference thing. If you don't want to run one of these, I would jam either another Black Spear or Rite of Calling. Lighted Caretaker is amazing in this list because not only is it a slay activator to turn on things like Cursed Keeper, but then also gives you a bit of board control. The saplings, when they are challenging things, are often going to be slaying those as well, so you get additional slay triggers. And then taking it even a step further, if it's really late in the game, if you've played a Thresh and you have the room to then set up a Caretaker, then a lot of times you can level up Thresh like that round, because Thresh is usually killing something. You're going to get a couple of slays from the Caretaker, and then the saplings die themselves. And so in that situation, you basically just need like one more unit to die. So Caretaker just does great things in this list. 2 copies of Rite of Negation, because Deny is great, but also more so than other lists. This is a list where you can absolutely use your Rite of Negation to kill one of your own units and have that be a good thing. And you can, just as a heads up, you can do this when there are no spells on the stack as well. Spirit Leech, this is again just your Glimpse Beyond, but on a body. We will like to draw cards, we like to slay, so it's a pretty big deal there. And then we've got Thresh, Atrocity, and Nasus on the back end. These are your finishers. Thresh helps you control the board and hopefully will summon a Nasus for you. And then if you don't have that happening, you can just play Nasus, and then Atrocity, usually on a leveled Nasus because of the spell shield, will close things out. So this is the list. As always, deck code in the video description, link to Mobalytics in the video description. And if you made it this far, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. And until next time, may you walk on warm sands.